The great hall of the Silver Moon clan buzzed with tension. Warriors stood in neat rows along the stone walls. Their armor gleamed under the light of floating crystals. Each warrior carried a blade that glowed with soft blue light. These were no ordinary weapons. They were runic blades, passed down through families for thousands of years. Hana walked into the hall with quick, confident steps. Her boots clicked against the polished floor. She wore the silver and blue colors of her clan. Her own blade Starfall hung at her side. The weapon had been in her family for 20 generations. Its runes pulsed gently, responding to her heartbeat. At the far end of the hall sat Elder Bora on her throne. The old woman's eyes were sharp as steel. Gray hair fell to her shoulders like a waterfall. She had ruled the Silver Moon clan for over 60 years. Under her leadership, they had become the most feared warriors in this part of the galaxy. "Speak, Hana," Elder Bora said. Her voice carried across the silent hall. "What news do you bring from the outer systems?" Hana stopped in the center of the hall. She placed her right hand over her heart and bowed her head. This was the traditional greeting of a warrior reporting to her leader. "Elder Bora, I bring troubling news," Hana said. She lifted her head and looked directly at the throne. "The humans have built a settlement on Kairos 7. A wave of angry murmurs swept through the hall. Warriors shifted restlessly. Hands moved closer to weapon hilts. Kairos 7 was sacred ground to the Silver Moon clan. It was the moon where their ancestors had first learned to use runic weapons. "Humans?" Elder Bora's voice turned cold. "Those primitive creatures dare to set foot on our holy ground?" Minho stepped forward from his place among the warriors. He was Hana's closest friend and fighting partner. His runic blade had never been defeated in combat. Scars covered his arms from countless battles. "Elder, perhaps they do not know the moon is ours," Minho said carefully. "Humans are known to be ignorant of proper customs." Elder Bora stood from her throne. The movement was slow but full of power. Every warrior in the hall felt the weight of her authority. "Ignorance is no excuse," she said. "For 3,000 years, the Silver Moon clan has protected this sector of space. Our ancestors' blood was spilled to claim those worlds. No alien species will take what is ours." Hana felt excitement build in her chest. She had hoped for this reaction. At 25, she was one of the youngest warriors to ever scout the outer systems alone. But she wanted more than scouting missions. She wanted to prove herself in real combat. "Elder Bora," Hana said, "let me lead a force to remove these humans. They are weak. Their technology is crude. We can clear them from Kairos 7 in a matter of days." The elder studied Hana with calculating eyes. The young warrior was skilled, but she was also eager for glory. Sometimes eagerness led to mistakes. "Tell me more about these humans," Elder Bora said. "How many are there? What kind of defenses do they have?" Hana had spent 3 days watching the human settlement from orbit. She had used the ship's sensors to scan their buildings and count their people. "I counted perhaps 200 humans," she reported. "They have built a small town near the moon's equator. Their buildings are made of metal and concrete, nothing special. I saw some energy weapons, but they looked primitive compared to our runic blades." "What about their ships?" asked Doyen, another senior warrior. 3 cargo vessels and 1 patrol ship," Hana answered. "The patrol ship has weapons, but nothing that could threaten one of our warships." Elder Bora walked down from her throne. Her footsteps echoed in the quiet hall. She stopped in front of Hana and looked into the young warrior's eyes. "You are eager for battle," the elder said. "That is good. A warrior without eagerness is already dead, but eagerness without wisdom leads to defeat." "I understand, Elder," Hana replied. "That is why I request Minho as my second in command. His wisdom balances my eagerness." Minho bowed his head at the honor. To be chosen as second in command meant Elder Bora trusted his judgment. "Very well," Elder Bora decided. "Take 50 warriors and 2 ships. Go to Kairos 7 and remove these humans. But remember, Hana, they are still sentient beings. Give them a chance to leave peacefully. If they refuse, then you may use force." Hana's heart raced with excitement. This was her chance to prove herself worthy of leading larger forces. Maybe someday she would even be considered for the position of war leader. "Thank you, Elder Bora," Hana said. "I will not disappoint you." "See that you do not," the elder replied. "The honor of our clan rests on your shoulders. Do not let our ancestors down." 2 days later, Hana stood on the bridge of the warship Silver Dawn. Through the large windows, she could see Kairos 7 growing larger as they approached. The moon was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. Ancient ruins dotted the largest landmass. These were the remains of the civilization that had first created runic weapons. There, Minho pointed to a spot on the eastern continent. I can see their settlement. Hana activated the ship's viewing screen. The human town appeared in sharp detail. It was larger than she had expected. The buildings were arranged in neat rows. Gardens and small farms surrounded the main structures. It looked peaceful, almost pleasant. They have made themselves comfortable, observed Kieran, one of the other warriors. Perhaps too comfortable. The second ship, Stormblade, flew beside them. It carried 25 warriors just like the Silver Dawn. Together they represented enough fighting power to conquer a small planet. Send them a message, Hana ordered the communications officer. Tell them that they are trespassing on Silver Moon territory. They have 1 hour to begin evacuation. The communications officer, a young woman named Suki, sent the message. They waited for a response. When it came, the human voice was calm and polite. This is Ji-hoon Kim, administrator of New Seoul Colony, the voice said. We have filed proper territorial claims for this moon through the Galactic Council. Our settlement is completely legal. We have no intention of leaving. Hana felt anger rise in her chest. These humans dared to quote galactic law to her. The Silver Moon clan had controlled this sector since before humans had even discovered space travel. Prepare the landing craft, she told her crew. It seems these humans need to be taught proper respect. As the ships descended toward the planet's surface, Hana touched the hilt of Starfall. The blade's runes glowed brighter, sensing her rising battle spirit. Soon, these ignorant humans would learn why the Silver Moon clan was feared throughout the galaxy. She had no idea that everything she believed about her people's history was about to change forever. The landing craft touched down just outside the human settlement. Hana stepped out first, followed by Minho and 20 other Silver Moon warriors. Their runic blades hummed softly in the alien air. The blue glow from the weapons cast strange shadows on the ground. The human settlement was bigger than it had looked from space. Clean streets ran between well-built buildings. Gardens full of earth plants grew everywhere. Children played in small parks while adults went about their daily work. It looked like a peaceful place, not like the rough frontier town Hana had expected. A group of humans approached them. The man in front was young, maybe 30 years old. He had black hair and wore simple clothes. His hands were empty of weapons, but Hana noticed how he moved. There was strength in his walk, confidence in his posture. I am Ji-hoon Kim, the man said. His voice was the same one they had heard over the radio. Welcome to New Seoul Colony. I wish we could meet under better circumstances. Behind Ji-hoon stood other humans. A woman with short hair and intelligent eyes introduced herself as Seol, the chief engineer. A man with glasses was Wonho, their scientist. Another woman, Nari, carried medical supplies. They all looked calm, as if armed aliens landed outside their town every day. I am Hana of the Silver Moon clan, Hana replied. She kept her hand near her sword. You know why we are here. This moon belongs to my people. You must leave, Ji-hoon nodded slowly. I understand your position. But we have legal rights to be here. We filed all the proper papers with the Galactic Council. We paid all the required fees. This colony is our new home. Legal papers mean nothing, Minho said, stepping forward. The Silver Moon clan has controlled this sector for 3,000 years. Our ancestors died to claim these worlds. No piece of paper can change that. Your ancestors fought bravely, Ji-hoon agreed, but that was long ago. The galaxy has laws now. We follow those laws. We suggest you do the same. Hana felt her anger growing. These humans spoke to her as if they were equals. Did they not understand what they faced? A single Silver Moon warrior could defeat a dozen normal soldiers. Their runic blades could cut through starship armor. You speak of laws, Hana said, but there are older laws than those written by the Galactic Council. The law of strength. The law of combat. The law that says the strongest claim the prize. Ji-hoon looked confused. I do not understand. I challenge you to single combat, Hana declared. The words rang across the settlement square. If I win, your people leave this moon immediately. If you win, the Silver Moon clan will recognize your claim. Murmurs went through both groups. The human colonists looked worried. Some of the Silver Moon warriors smiled. They knew how this would end. I do not know your customs, Ji-hoon said carefully. But if this duel will prevent larger bloodshed, I accept. Seol grabbed Ji-hoon's arm. Are you crazy? She whispered urgently. Look at their weapons. Look at how they move. They are not human. I know, Ji-hoon whispered back. But what choice do we have? If I refuse, they will attack the whole colony. At least this way, only one person gets hurt. Do-yeon, the colony's security chief, stepped forward. Sir, let me fight instead. It is my job to protect this settlement. Ji-hoon shook his head. No, she challenged me personally. I will not hide behind others. The duel was set for dawn the next day. Word spread quickly through both camps. The Silver Moon warriors made bets on how quickly Hana would win. Some said 10 seconds. Others were more generous and said 30. That night, the humans gathered in their community center. The building was full of worried faces and hushed conversations. What do we know about their fighting style? Ji-hoon asked. Wonho had been studying the alien warriors all day. Their blades generate some kind of energy field, he reported. I detected electromagnetic readings and thermal signatures. The weapons can probably cut through our strongest armor. What about their physical abilities? Asked Tae-hyun, the colony's military advisor. Enhanced, Isul said grimly. I watched them move. They are faster and stronger than any human. Their reflexes are about 3 times better than ours. So I cannot match them in speed or strength, Ji-hoon said. What can I match them in? Intelligence, suggested Mira, their communications officer. And maybe experience. You served in the Colonial Defense Force for 10 years. You know how to fight? Against humans, Ji-hoon pointed out. This is different. An old man named Hyunwoo stood up. He was the colony's historian and language expert. I have been thinking about their weapons, he said. The runes on the blades look familiar. I cannot place them yet, but I have seen similar markings before. Where? Ji-hoon asked. I am not sure, Hyunwoo admitted. Give me tonight to research. Maybe I can find something useful. While the humans planned, the Silver Moon warriors set up camp outside the settlement. They built fires and shared stories of past victories. Hana sat apart from the others, preparing her mind for battle. Minho joined her by her small fire. You seem troubled, he observed. I am not troubled, Hana replied. I am thinking. About what? Hana stared into the flames. About these humans. They are not what I expected. What did you expect? Fear, Hana said. I expected them to run when they saw our ships. Instead, they offer legal documents. I expected their leader to be a warrior. Instead, he is a civilian who accepts a duel to protect his people. Does this change anything? Minho asked. No, Hana said firmly. The moon still belongs to us. The duel will still happen. I will still win. But even as she said the words, something nagged at her mind. These humans were different from others she had encountered. Most aliens feared the Silver Moon clan. These colonists seemed calm, even confident. What did they know that she did not? Dawn came with clear skies and gentle wind. The duel would take place in the settlement's central square. The humans had moved tables and chairs to create a large open space. Silver Moon warriors stood on one side while colonists gathered on the other. Elder Bora had arrived during the night. She sat in a place of honor, watching everything with sharp eyes. Her presence made this duel official. Whatever happened here would be binding on the entire clan. Hana walked to the center of the square. Starfall hung at her side, its runes glowing softly in the morning light. The blade had been forged by her great-great-grandmother. It had never known defeat in battle. Ji-hoon approached from the other side. He carried a simple metal sword. No runes, no energy field, just plain steel. The Silver Moon warriors barely held back their laughter. Did this human think he could fight a runic blade with ordinary metal? Are you ready? Elder Bora asked. Both fighters nodded. Then let the duel begin. Hana drew Starfall in one smooth motion. The blade blazed with blue fire as cosmic energy flowed through the ancient runes. She moved forward with inhuman speed, planning to end this quickly. But something unexpected happened. Ji-hoon's simple sword met her blazing blade and did not break. More surprising still, he was fast enough to block her strike. The first exchange lasted only seconds, but it changed everything. This would not be the quick victory Hana had expected. For the first time in her life, she faced an opponent who might actually challenge her. The real fight was just beginning. The clash of metal on energy filled the morning air. Hana attacked again, her runic blade trailing streams of blue fire. She moved like flowing water, each strike perfect and deadly. But somehow Ji-hoon's plain sword was there to meet every blow. The watching Silver Moon warriors shifted uncomfortably. This should have been over by now. Their champion was toying with the human, surely. She was just demonstrating her superiority before delivering the killing blow, but Hana knew the truth. She was not toying with anyone. Every strike she made was real, aimed to end the fight, and this human was blocking them all. Jihoon fought differently than any opponent she had ever faced. Silver Moon warriors used flowing movements, channeling energy through their bodies and weapons. They danced as they fought, beautiful and deadly. Jihoon moved like a machine. His sword work was sharp, precise, efficient. There was no wasted motion, no unnecessary flourishes. How? Hana gasped as another of her attacks was turned aside. Jihoon did not answer. He was breathing hard, sweat running down his face. But his eyes remained focused, watching her every move. On the sidelines, the human colonists watched with growing hope. Their leader was holding his own against an alien super warrior. Maybe, just maybe, he could actually win this. Taehyun checked a small device in his hand. Numbers scrolled across its screen. "Energy readings are stable," he whispered to the others. "Whatever she is doing with that sword, it is not getting stronger." Wonho nodded, his eyes fixed on the duel. "Look at how he moves." He is not trying to match her strength or speed. He is using physics against her. It was true. When Hana struck high, Jihoon deflected low, using her own momentum against her. When she attacked from the left, he turned her blade to the right. He was not overpowering her energy weapon. He was redirecting it. Minho leaned forward, studying the human's technique. "What kind of fighting style is this?" he murmured to the warrior beside him. "Nothing I have ever seen," came the reply. "He fights like he knows exactly what she will do before she does it." Elder Bora said nothing, but her eyes were narrow with thought. Something was wrong here. No ordinary human should be able to match a Silver Moon warrior, even for a few minutes. The duel continued. Minutes passed, then a quarter hour. Hana found herself giving ground, stepping backward as Jihoon pressed his attack. This was impossible. She was faster, stronger, armed with a weapon that could cut through starship hulls. How was this human matching her? Frustration built in her chest. She poured more energy into Starfall, making the runes burn brighter. The blade's edge sang with power as cosmic forces flowed through the ancient inscriptions. But still, Jihoon matched her. His simple sword somehow turned aside every strike. And now he was doing more than just defending. He was counterattacking, forcing her to react instead of act. "This is taking too long," growled one of the Silver Moon warriors. "Why does she not end it?" "Be silent," Minho snapped. "Can you not see? She is trying to end it. The human is simply better than we expected." On the human side, Isol watched the duel with growing amazement. "How is he doing this?" she whispered to Nari. "Training," the medic replied. "Remember, he served in the Colonial Defense Force for 10 years. He fought pirates, raiders, hostile aliens. He has seen combat that most of us cannot imagine." "But look at her weapon," Isol protested. "It is like fighting with a lightsaber. How does plain steel stand up to that?" Wonho overheard them. "I have been wondering the same thing," he said quietly. "I am detecting strange readings from his sword. It should have melted the first time it touched her blade." In the center of the square, Jihoon was thinking the same thing. He had expected his sword to be destroyed in the first few seconds. Instead, it seemed to be getting stronger, more resistant to the alien energy weapon. Hana launched a series of devastating attacks, combining speed and power in ways that should overwhelm any defense. Her blade work was a thing of beauty, each strike flowing into the next like a deadly dance. But Jihoon adapted. More than that, he began to anticipate her moves. The strange rhythm of her fighting style was becoming familiar to him. He could see the patterns, the ways she combined her attacks. In a moment of overconfidence, Hana committed to a powerful overhead strike. She put all her strength behind it, planning to smash through his guard and end the duel. It was exactly the opening Jihoon had been waiting for. As her blade came down, he stepped to the side and flicked his sword across her extended arm. The steel edge cut through her armor and bit into flesh. Blood dripped onto the stone ground. The square fell silent. For the first time in the duel, one of the fighters had been wounded. And it was not the human. Hana stared down at the cut on her sword arm. It was not deep, but it stung. More than that, it was impossible. No one had drawn her blood in combat since she was a child learning to fight. "First blood to the human," Elder Bora announced, her voice carrying clearly in the silence. By the ancient laws of dueling, Jihoon had just demonstrated his superiority. He could claim victory now if he chose. Instead, he stepped back and lowered his sword. "You fought well," he said to Hana. I offer you the chance to yield with honor. Your courage is proven. There is no shame in ending this now. The Silver Moon warriors stared in shock. The human was offering mercy to their champion? The insult was beyond belief, but Hana's reaction was even more shocking. For a moment, she actually considered accepting. The wound on her arm throbbed, reminding her that this human was dangerous. He had already proven he could hurt her. What else might he be capable of? Then her pride reasserted itself. She was a daughter of the Silver Moon clan. Her ancestors had conquered star systems with these same runic blades. She would not yield to anyone, especially not a supposedly primitive human. I do not yield, she said firmly. The duel continues until one of us cannot fight. Jihoon nodded sadly. As you wish. The human colonists exchanged worried glances. Their leader had drawn first blood, but the alien warrior was far from defeated. If anything, she looked angrier now. The wound had awakened something fierce in her eyes. Sir, Doyen called out, perhaps you should reconsider. You have proven your point. Jihoon shook his head. She has refused to yield. I must see this through. He raised his sword again, settling into a defensive stance. But now he was bleeding too, from small cuts where her energy blade had come too close. Both fighters were wounded, both tired. The duel had gone on far longer than anyone expected. Hana circled him slowly, looking for weaknesses. The cut on her arm was making her movement slightly awkward. She could feel warm blood running down to her wrist. But she was still faster than the human, still stronger. You fight well for a primitive, she admitted grudgingly. Where did you learn such skills? 10 years in the Colonial Defense Force, Jihoon replied. Fighting pirates and raiders. They taught me that flashy moves get you killed. Simple moves keep you alive. Your sword, Hana continued, still circling. What metal is it made from? It should have melted when it touched Starfall. Jihoon glanced down at his weapon. I honestly do not know. It was my grandfather's sword. He said it came from an old Earth colony ship. Something flickered in Elder Bora's eyes at those words. But before she could think about it further, Hana attacked again. This time there was desperation in her movements. She had been wounded, humiliated in front of her people. Her honor demanded victory no matter the cost. She began to channel more power into Starfall than was safe, making the ancient runes burn like small suns. The air around the blade started to shimmer with heat. Energy crackled along its edge. This was beyond normal combat techniques. This was the kind of power used to destroy fortifications, not fight duels. But Hana no longer cared about the rules. She would end this human here and now, even if it killed them both. The final phase of the duel was about to begin. The air in the square began to crackle with dangerous energy. Hana raised Starfall above her head, and the ancient blade burst into brilliant light. The runes along its edge burned like tiny stars. Power flowed through the weapon like liquid fire. The watching crowd stepped back in fear. Even the Silver Moon warriors looked worried. This was not normal dueling technique. This was the Severing Strike, a technique used to destroy warships and blast through fortress walls. Hana, no, Minho shouted. That much power will kill you both. But Hana was beyond hearing. Her pride had been wounded worse than her arm. A human had drawn her blood, had made her look weak in front of her clan. She would rather die than suffer such shame. Energy poured into Starfall until the blade became too bright to look at directly. The air around it started to burn. Small pieces of stone cracked and fell from nearby buildings. The weapon was reaching its absolute limit. Everyone get back, Isel yelled to the human colonists. That thing is going to explode. But Jihoon did not retreat. He stood calmly in the center of the square, watching Hana prepare her final attack. His simple sword hung loose in his grip. Against the cosmic forces she was channeling, his plain steel blade looked like a child's toy. You should run, Hana said through gritted teeth. The power flowing through Starfall was almost too much for her to control. This strike will cut you in half and carve a trench in the ground behind you. I know, Jihoon replied quietly. But I will not run from you. With a wild cry, Hana brought the blazing sword down in a strike that should have split Jihoon from head to toe. The energy discharge lit up the entire square like a miniature sun. Thunder rolled across the settlement as cosmic forces were unleashed. But instead of dodging or trying to block with his sword, Jihoon did something that froze everyone's blood. He stepped forward and caught the descending blade with his bare hand. The crowd gasped in horror. No flesh could withstand the energy of a runic blade, especially one charged to its maximum power. Ji-hoon's hand should have been burned away to ash in an instant. Instead, it bled. The blade cut his palm just as any normal sword would cut normal flesh. But as his blood touched the ancient runes carved into Starfall's surface, something impossible happened. The blue energy that had been flowing through the weapon suddenly changed. It shifted from azure to deep crimson, pulsing like a heartbeat. The runes began to glow with a different light, responding to something in Ji-hoon's blood. For the first time in 3,000 years, Starfall was recognizing someone who was not of Silvermoon heritage. Hana stared in shock as her ancestral blade accepted this human as its wielder. The energy that should have destroyed him was flowing into him instead, absorbed by his body and channeled through his blood. Impossible, Elder Bora whispered. She rose from her seat, her face pale with disbelief. No outsider has ever activated our runic technology. It responds only to Silvermoon bloodlines. But the evidence blazed before their eyes. Starfall hung in Ji-hoon's grip, its crimson light pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. The blade that had been Hana's family treasure for 20 generations now obeyed a human stranger. The watching Silvermoon warriors stood frozen in shock. Their entire civilization was built on the belief that only they could wield runic weapons. It was what made them superior to other species, what gave them the right to rule this sector of space. Now that fundamental truth lay shattered on the ground like broken glass. Wonho pushed forward through the crowd of humans, pulling out scanning equipment with shaking hands. The energy patterns are all wrong, he muttered, taking readings. This is not their technology being copied. This is their technology recognizing its origin point. What does that mean? Nari asked. Before Wonho could answer, Hyunwoo stepped forward. The old historian's face was bright with sudden understanding. I know where I have seen those runes before, he announced. I have been researching all night, and now I am certain. He pulled out a data tablet and activated a holographic display. Ancient symbols appeared in the air, glowing softly. They looked exactly like the runes on Starfall and the other Silvermoon weapons. These are from the archives of the generation ship New Horizon, Hyunwoo explained. It was one of the first colony ships that left Earth over 5,000 years ago. We thought it was lost, but these runes prove it reached its destination. Elder Bora stepped down from her throne, moving closer to the hologram. You are saying that our runic technology came from humans? Not just from humans, Hyunwoo corrected. It is human technology. Your ancestors found the ruins of our colony and reverse-engineered our weapons, but they never fully understood how the systems worked. The revelation hit the Silvermoon warriors like a physical blow. Their greatest source of pride, their ancient heritage, their claim to superiority over other species. All of it was built on technology they had inherited from the very people they considered primitive. Ji-hoon, still holding the blazing starfall, looked around at the shocked faces. I do not understand what is happening, he admitted, but I think we need to talk. Hana reached out with a trembling hand toward her family's blade. The weapon that had been passed down through her bloodline for generations now burned with alien light in a stranger's grip. Give it back, she whispered. I cannot, Ji-hoon said sadly. Look. He tried to release the sword, but it would not leave his hand. The crimson energy flowing through the weapon had created some kind of bond between blade and wielder. Starfall had chosen him, and it would not be denied. This is impossible, Minho said, speaking for all the Silvermoon warriors. Our weapons are alive. They choose their owners. They have never chosen an outsider before. Because no one with the right bloodline ever touched them before, Wonho explained. These weapons have biometric locks, genetic recognition systems. They were designed to respond to human DNA markers. The truth was spreading through both crowds now, humans pointing at weapon readings on their instruments, Silvermoon warriors staring at their own runic blades with new eyes, wondering what other secrets they held. Elder Bora walked slowly toward Ji-hoon. Her ancient face was thoughtful, calculating. If what you say is true, she said carefully, then our entire history is built on a lie. Not a lie, Ji-hoon corrected gently. A misunderstanding. Your people found technology they did not recognize and made it their own. There is no shame in that. It shows wisdom and adaptability. But our superiority, one of the warriors began, was never about the weapons, Ji-hoon interrupted. It was about the skill and courage to use them. That has not changed. He looked around at the assembled Silvermoon warriors, then at his own people. We are not enemies. We are family that has been separated by time and distance. But even as he spoke those words, Jihoon could see the conflict in Elder Bora's eyes. The Silver Moon clan had built their entire identity around their mystical heritage. Learning that it came from humans would shake their civilization to its core. And in Hana's eyes, he saw something even more dangerous. The young warrior was staring at Starfall with an expression of loss so deep it was painful to witness. The blade had been more than a weapon to her. It had been proof of her worth, her connection to her ancestors. Now it belonged to someone else. The duel was over, but the real test was just beginning. Could two peoples who had grown so far apart find a way to bridge the gap between them? Or would this revelation destroy everything both sides held dear? The crimson light of Starfall pulsed in the morning air, waiting for an answer. The silence in the square stretched like a held breath. Jihoon stood holding Starfall, its crimson light casting strange shadows on the ground. Around him, two civilizations struggled to understand what they had just witnessed. Elder Bora was the first to speak. Her voice was carefully controlled, but those who knew her could hear the tremor beneath the calm surface. "Show me your proof," she commanded Hyunwoo. "Show me evidence that our sacred weapons came from human colonies." The old historian activated his tablet again. More holograms appeared in the air. Star charts, technical diagrams, historical records. "The generation ship New Horizon left Earth in the year 2157, he began. "It carried 50,000 colonists toward a system we now call Valthera Prime." Gasps rose from the Silver Moon warriors. Valthera Prime was their home system, the heart of their empire. The ship's manifest lists advanced energy weapons among their equipment, Hyunwoo continued. Weapons that used runic inscriptions to channel and focus power. "Look at these technical drawings." The hologram showed blueprints of devices that looked exactly like Silver Moon runic blades. Every detail matched. The shape of the grip, the arrangement of the runes, even the energy flow patterns. "The ship lost contact with Earth after reaching its destination," Hyunwoo explained. "We assumed the colony failed, but now we know the truth. They survived long enough to build a civilization. Your ancestors found their ruins and learned from their technology." Wonho stepped forward with his scanning equipment. "I have been analyzing the energy signatures from all your weapons," he announced. "They all contain the same genetic recognition protocols. They are programmed to respond to human DNA." "Test it," Elder Bora said suddenly. "If this is true, then other humans should be able to activate our weapons." Minho drew his own runic blade, its blue light pale compared to Starfall's crimson glow. "Take it," he offered to Isul. "If you can make it work, we will know." Isul hesitated, then reached out to touch the weapon. The moment her fingers made contact, the blade's runes flared to life. Blue energy coursed through the ancient inscriptions, responding to her presence just as it did to Minho's. "By the ancestors," Minho breathed. "It works." More tests followed. Nari activated a warrior's gauntlets. Taehyun made a runic shield blaze with power. One by one, the humans demonstrated that the Silver Moon's most sacred artifacts recognized them as rightful users. The psychological impact on the Silver Moon warriors was devastating. Some stood in shocked silence. Others began to weep openly. Their entire worldview was crumbling before their eyes. But the most affected was Hana. She had sunk to her knees, staring at her empty hands. Starfall had been her birthright, the symbol of her family's honor. Now it belonged to a stranger. Jihoon saw her pain and made a decision. Despite the weapon's resistance, he forced himself to release Starfall. The blade clattered to the ground, its crimson light fading to blue as it left his grasp. "Take it back," he said softly. "It is yours." Hana looked up at him in surprise. "But it chose you. The blade has never chosen an outsider before." "It chose me because it recognized my heritage," Jihoon explained. "But that does not mean I have the right to take it from you. Your family has cared for this weapon for generations. That creates its own kind of bond." Slowly, Hana reached for Starfall. The moment her fingers touched the hilt, the blade blazed back to life. But now its light was different. Not pure blue or pure crimson, but a swirling mixture of both colors. "It remembers both of us now," she whispered in wonder. Elder Bora watched this exchange with calculating eyes. She was a leader who had ruled for 60 years by adapting to changing circumstances. This revelation would either destroy her people or make them stronger. The choice was hers. "Tell me about your colony," she said to Jihoon. "Why did you come to Cairo 7? "Our deep space surveys identified it as the crash site of the New Horizon," Jihoon explained. We came here as pilgrims to honor our ancestors and study what remains of their settlement. You came to honor the dead, Elder Bora repeated slowly. Not to claim territory or seek profit, but to honor the dead. Yes, Jihun confirmed. The people who died here were our ancestors too. We wanted to build a memorial, to make sure they are remembered. Elder Bora looked around at her warriors, seeing the confusion and pain in their faces. Then she looked at the human colonists, seeing their hope and determination. Finally, she made her choice. With slow, deliberate movements, the ancient leader lowered herself to one knee. "What are you doing?" Hana gasped. "What honor demands?" Elder Bora replied. "Our entire civilization is built on reverence for ancestors and technological heritage. We have just discovered that our ancestors' spirits stand before us in living flesh." One by one, the other Silver Moon warriors followed their leader's example. Minho knelt first, then the others, until every alien warrior in the square was bowing to the human colonists. "Rise," Jihun said urgently. "Please, you do not need to do this." "Yes, we do," Elder Bora said firmly. "For 3,000 years we have honored the memories of those who came before us. Now we learn that they still live in you. It changes everything." She stood, her mind already working on the implications. "We must contact the clan leaders. They must know what we have discovered here. The entire Silver Moon Nation will want to meet their living ancestors." Hana also rose, still clutching Starfall. The blade's mixed light reflected the turmoil in her heart. "What happens now?" she asked. "What happens to us?" Jihun smiled sadly. "That is up to all of us to decide. But I have a suggestion." He gestured toward the human settlement, then toward the Silver Moon ships. "You came here to remove us from sacred ground. We came here to honor the dead. Perhaps we can do both." "I do not understand," Minho said. "Work with us," Jihun explained. "Help us build a proper memorial to the New Horizon and its crew. In return, we will share everything we know about runic technology. Together we can unlock secrets that neither of our peoples understand alone." Wanho nodded enthusiastically. "Think about it. You have been using this technology for 3,000 years, but you never understood how it really works. We have the original technical manuals and design specifications. Together, we could advance beyond anything either civilization has achieved separately." Elder Bora considered this. The political implications were staggering. An alliance with humanity would change the balance of power in this entire sector of space, but it would also give the Silver Moon clan access to knowledge they had never possessed. "There would need to be agreements," she said carefully. "Formal treaties. Recognition of territorial rights." "Of course," Jihun agreed. "But consider the alternative. We could fight over this moon and accomplish nothing. Or we could work together and honor both our people's histories." Hana looked down at Starfall, watching the blue and crimson energies swirl together in the blade. It was beautiful, this mixture of old and new, alien and human. Maybe that was what the future should look like. "I support this alliance," she announced. "My blade has accepted both bloodlines. Perhaps we should do the same." Minho was the next to speak. "If Hana supports it, then so do I." Other voices joined in, both human and Silver Moon. The idea spread through both groups like fire through dry grass. An alliance between the greatest warriors in this sector and the descendants of the technology's creators. Elder Bora raised her hand for silence. "Very well, we will try this path. But know this, Jihun Kim. You are no longer just a colony administrator. You are now a bridge between two peoples. That is a heavy responsibility." "I understand," Jihun replied, "but I believe it is worth trying." As the sun climbed higher in the alien sky, the two groups began to mingle. Silver Moon warriors examined human technical manuals while human engineers studied runic weapons. Children from the colony approached the alien soldiers with curious eyes, while the warriors told stories of distant battles and ancient victories. Hana found herself standing beside Jihun, both of them watching their peoples take their first tentative steps toward cooperation. "What you did back there," she said quietly, "giving me back Starfall. Why?" Jihun was quiet for a moment. "Because some things are more important than winning," he finally answered. "Your family's honor, your people's pride, the future we might build together." Hana nodded slowly. "You fight strangely, Jihun Kim. But perhaps that is what we need. A different way of thinking about victory and defeat." She held up Starfall, watching its mixed light dance along the blade. "My weapon remembers both our peoples now. Perhaps that is how it should be." Above them, Silvermoon ships and human vessels moved into formation together, the first joint patrol in 3,000 years. Below, two civilizations began the long work of becoming one people again. The age of human expansion had begun not with conquest, but with recognition. And in the mixed light of ancient weapons accepting new masters, the future burned bright with possibility.